O'Connor, the legendary cryptid hunter, bears a rage that never dies. He stalks the beast that took his loved ones, with vengeance burning in his eyes. Taught by David Green to track the beast from hell, with running water spirit now guiding him from frozen Alaska to the deep black woods of the lower 48, where terrifying monsters hide. Through the thicket and the shadow, where the monsters hide their breath, he's walking down the highway of a cold and dusty death. You can hear the branches snapping, you can hear the creatures cry. When O'Connor's on the hunt, tonight the beast will die. The chilling howl begins to rise. The forest canopy turns black, with heavy rifle primed and ready. The hunter tracks the bleeding pack. He's cornered them and last down in the hollow where evil feeds. A massacre among the trees, fulfilling gruesome, desperate needs. Through the thicket and the shadow, where the monsters hide their breath, he's walking down the highway of a cold and dusty death. You can hear the branches snapping, you can hear the creatures cry. When O'Connor's on the hunt, tonight the beast will die. No tears left for the fallen, souls corrupted by the dark.
He knows the cost of hunting nightmares,
leaving his own brutal mark. The blood upon the frozen ground, a sickening primal screams. This is where the legends end and terrifying nightmares gleam. Through the thicket and the shadow, where the monsters hide their breath, he's walking down the highway of a cold and dusty death. You can hear the branches snapping, you can hear the creatures cry. When O'Connor's on the hunt, tonight the beast will die. Leaving the ultimate hunter,
O'Connor,
the legendary cryptid hunter.
The Legend of O'Connor, Prologue. Not sure how to start this out, so I'll just say to whom it may concern. I bought this property and house not long ago, and in the far corner of the attic, I found a lockbox with the name O'Connor carved into it. Wiping away the dust and cobwebs, I unlatched a small, old, rusty lock. Inside were several leather diaries or journals of some type. Opening one of the books, I saw beautiful handwriting on page after page. Skimming the contents, I thought it was probably someone's collection of made-up stories. But as I began to read them, I changed my mind. Not sure what to do regarding the journals, because the property owner before me went missing. And if the contents of these writings are to be believed, they need to be heard. I remember asking locals about the previous owner of this old house, and according to them, he wasn't very social and kept to himself, and no one knew anything about him. All of a sudden, he just wasn't around anymore. and I bought the property due to taxes that hadn't been paid to the town in Kentucky called Cedar Creek, located in the Daniel Boone National Forest. That's how I wound up with it. And the mystery that I found? Oh, dear me. Where are my manners? Let me give you a little background on myself. I'm a retired nurse from Eagle Pass in Texas. After living there for more than 30 years, I sold everything and moved to this area for the country life and to get away from everything. I don't really have a lot to do now that I'm retired, and I got the great idea to start publishing these journals. So I started with the one that was dated the oldest. Now remember, I don't know if these stories are true or not, but from what I found in these pages, I hope they're not, for our sake. So come along with me. Journal entry 1. I just made it home from a very long outing, nursing a couple of broken ribs, I think. After this, I decided to start keeping a journal of what I've been doing. Let me introduce myself. My name is O'Connor. That is what everyone calls me. According to my wife, I'm a handsome, rugged outdoorsman. After losing my family and the things that I've done since then, the years have not been kind. You see, I had a happy, normal life, a little different from some. I was a hunting and wilderness guide in Alaska during the main season, and in the off-seasons, I taught tracking and survival skills. I've hunted and trapped just about everything that walks or runs on this planet, or at least I thought. Now, when I wasn't in the bush, I did have a lovely family, until they took them. Now let me tell you about my family. At the present time, I'm in my 30s. I met my beautiful late wife when I was just turning 20. She was a couple years older than me, as lovely as the day is long, as loving as the nights can be cold here. Her name was Lily. She had the most incredible golden brown eyes, long flowing black hair, and a smile that could stop a charging grizzly. She had a soft way about her, so easy and gentle, everyone who met her loved her. Lily was not only my best friend, she was a mother to our twin boys, Derek and Eric. My boys were 7 years old when they disappeared along with my wife. These monsters destroyed everything that I held dear. This is hard sitting here reliving this. I have tears running down my face as I think back to those days. I can still see their faces, but their voices have slipped away over the years. And they have been hard, long, and lonely, with only anger to keep me company and rage to keep me going. This is the story of how I got where I am today and what I do now. In the spring of '89, I returned home from a 6-week guided trip. On the southern edge of the Alaskan Triangle is where our little cabins sit, nestled in a little valley. From a distance, everything looked normal, but it was just quiet, very quiet, like the quiet that hurts your ears. As I moved in closer towards the cabin, I realized things weren't as they appeared, and I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. The front door of the cabin was almost beaten in. Drawing my Super Black Hawk 44, I made my way around the back of the cabin. You couldn't even tell there was a door where the door was supposed to be. It just looked like a giant hole. It had been ripped away and tossed aside like nothing. I slowly made my way in. There was carnage everywhere. Blood, torn furniture. You just can't imagine. I was running from room to room looking for my wife, my 2 kids. What the hell had happened here? But where were they now? And why were they nowhere to be found? They were just gone. That's when I noticed the large human-like tracks. I mean, over 20 inches plus. I just couldn't figure out what in the hell happened. Where did these tracks come from? What made these tracks? I'd never seen anything like this. I ran back out to my truck, got on my marine radio, and switched it to the emergency band and started begging and pleading for somebody, anybody, to help. Hours later, finally help arrived. The Alaskan State Troopers and Wildlife Fish and Game. They ushered me back to my truck, told me I needed to stay there. They questioned me. Then they asked me if I had somewhere else I could go while they finished their investigation. Because this is an active crime scene, they said. I told him I don't know. Right now I can't think. Then a friend of mine, a native from the area named Bob, pulled up, put his arm around me, and said, "Come on, let them do their job." I stayed with him for several days until the state police came to give me their explanation of what must have happened. They tried to play it off as a bear attack. When I asked them about the large human-like tracks, they ignored me. So that's the way it went down. My family was taken by bears. That was the official report. Journal entry, too. Since they wrote it off as an animal attack, they declared my cabin a non-criminal crime scene and allowed me back in. The Alaskan state troopers turned the investigation over to the Wildlife Fish and Game. They did an extensive search of the immediate area. They called in search and rescue, probably covered a 10-mile square acre area for 3 days, finding nothing. When they called the search off, they officially listed it as a missing persons case. But I never gave up. I searched and searched. That's when I told my friend that had come that day all about what I had discovered when I got home. The worst day of my life, the day I'd entered the gates of hell. He then invited an elder from his tribe to come and meet with me. Now, I have known Bob since we were kids. He helped me and my family get set up and build our home once we decided to move here permanently. You need to understand, I trust this man with my life. Bob is part of a local tribe, but I don't want to name them because I do not want to get them into any trouble. They are the only family I have left. Now, I'm not going to try to say my friend's native name because I would butcher it. But again, his nickname, just for everyone who knows him, is Bob. He's a spitting image of what most people think is an Indian or Native American. He's almost 7 foot tall, 250 pounds, and built like a pro basketball player. One of the friendliest men you could meet. The elder he introduced me to went by the name Running Water. When I first saw this man, I was standing at the back of my truck gathering the supplies I would need to go out searching again. Bob started out with, "I'm very sorry for your loss." I stopped him there. "My loss? No, I'm going to find them." Then Running Water said, "I understand this is a tough time, but you must know that a bear did not take your family. This is what is being told to hide what has been done to you, what lurks in these forests, and has always been there. This is not the first time this has happened, and I dare say it will not be the last. There are things in our forests that have been here longer than we have, things that my people have known about forever." I interrupted Running Water to ask him, what is he talking about? I don't have time for riddles and stories. I've got to try to find my family. He laid his hand on my shoulder in a manner that only a confident man could do. He looked deeply into my eyes and said, "My friend, your family has gone on to be with the great Creator." I just looked at him intently and said, "What? How do you know?" He said, "From what my nephew has told me, what you've described to him, your family was taken by what we call in your tongue, the face eaters." I said, "Sir, I don't want to hear about these fairy tales." That's when Bob told me, "You need to listen. I understand you're grieving, brother, but you need to listen." Running Water reached under his shirt and pulled out a weathered, clawed hand. I had never seen anything like that before. It was something from a nightmare. "What is that?" Running Water said, "This is the hand that came from a face eater. If you think this is horrifying, you should see the rest of it. I wanted to not only tell you what you're up against, but to show you. This creature is unlike anything you could ever imagine. I know you've probably heard of what they call the Sasquatch, but this did not come from a Sasquatch. This came from some other kind of creature. So hold on," I said. "There's more than one kind of Sasquatch?" He just smiled and kind of chuckled. "Oh yes, my friend. There are many other things out there. But this, the face eater, it even feeds upon the Sasquatch." So, okay, explain to me exactly what this face eater is and what it looks like. Have y'all ever even seen one? Running Water said, "Most who see them don't live to tell, but yes, they have been seen. We know what they look like and we know how to kill them. But here and now is not the time, nor the place. I want to invite you to come to a ceremonial sweat. Bob spoke up and said, "Come back to my house tonight. That's where the gathering is going to be. Be there at 8. I thought to myself for just a minute. I haven't been able to figure this out on my own, so what's it gonna hurt? Okay, I'll be there. Bob leaned in and gave me a brief hug. Running Water offered his hand to me. I took it and held on to what seemed like a temporary lifeline. As they walked away, I said, "Bob, thank you for everything that you've done for me." He just looked at me and said, "After tonight, I don't know if you'll be thanking me or not, brother." They got into the truck and drove off. I just sat on my tailgate of my truck, trying to figure out everything that just happened, and I broke into tears. I fell to my knees, punching the ground, ripping out the grass, cursing the air. Why? Why did this happen to me? The clock read 7:30 when I pulled up in Bob's yard. There were several other vehicles there. I made my way to the front door. Bob was standing on his front porch to greet me. Come in, everyone's in the back. Everything's already set up." I had never been to a sweat, so I didn't know what to expect. I followed him through the house, to the back door, and down a set of old wide stairs, and into the backyard. There was a rudimentary light teepee structure set up. On either side, 2 heavily muscled native men, wearing face paint that I did not recognize, were standing on either side of the teepee opening. They instructed me to remove my clothing and handed me a buckskin to wrap around me. Bending down to enter the makeshift teepee, they led me in. Inside the structure, several men were sitting in a circle around a fire with large rocks in it. And as they were pouring water on top of the stones, steam rolled up and filled the air. There, sitting at the head of the men, was Running Water. "Greetings, my friend," he said to me. "Are you ready for your journey? Are you ready to receive the truth? We do not allow outsiders normally into this, but you have lost a great deal. And my nephew says you will not quit until you're dead or you find the creatures that did this." I didn't say anything. I just nodded my head yes. "Then we begin." The other men started chanting and Running Water started saying something in his native tongue that I did not understand. I just sat intently, very still, and listened. When he finished speaking, he looked at me across the fire and said, "This is the truth that has been hidden from your eyes. Your people know, but they keep it hidden. There are many creatures that you do not know who roam this world. Some are benevolent, others are not. They are what make up the stories that make children hide under their covers. Men go wary in the dark, and women cry for their loved ones that have been lost. The creatures that you seek, that took your family, the face eaters, they are one of the most evil. They are pure evil. My people and others have fought them for many years, but my people are few now, and the creatures still grow in number. They are twice as big as any man, as heavy as a buffalo, and as fast as a wolf. They have claws like tomahawks. They have teeth like knives. They know no compassion for man, woman, nor child. They only know hunger. When they destroy, they consume everything they come across. Then they slip back off into the woods like a whisper. Many braves have tracked them down, very few have returned. The ones that have gave us knowledge about them and how to destroy them. This is what I will share with you now. Their hide is tough, even tougher than a buffalo. They are strong, stronger than 10 braves combined. They are cunning, far more cunning than any other creature in the woods. A strong buffalo rifle can take them down with a well-placed shot in the spine. A good sharp tomahawk can then be used to remove their head. Then we build a giant fire and burn the bodies, because if you leave them, they will feed upon their own. They seem to be fearful of fire. They will not come into your camp with a well-built fire. We learned this long ago. They have the ability to hunt at night as if it was day. Herbs and oils can hide your scent from them, and yes, they have a great sense of smell, even better than any wolf or bear. We have prepared herbs and oils for you on your journey against these demons. My nephew will tell you how to use them. We will be here, brother, to walk you through this journey. You will not be alone." After he said that, my eyes got to the point where I just couldn't hold them open. I don't know if there was something they had put in the fire, or the heat, or if it was just pure exhaustion from going nonstop. When I opened my eyes again, I was still inside the teepee, stretched out on a buffalo skin laid on the floor, and a peace had come over me, an understanding of what I had to do, what I must do. Hunt down as many of these foul creatures as I could and kill them before they had a chance to take anyone else's family. I knew then that I was going to dedicate the rest of my life just for that purpose. Journal entry 3. This is whoever's reading this, if anyone ever does. I understand there may be a few gaps here and there, but all this is from my memory and many years ago. I just decided a few days ago that I would start trying to write it all down. Maybe someone could understand and my family would be remembered. I also finally decided to go to the doctor and have my ribs checked out after my latest outing. But that story will have to come later. For now, let's get back to how this all got started, and I got started on this path. When I opened my eyes the morning after the ceremony, I was still in the teepee in Bob's backyard. When the aroma of freshly cooked food wafted into my nose, I decided to roll over, getting off the ground, making my slow walk towards the back door. The sun was bright and warm for that particular time of year. I remember having this calm about me, this peace washing over me. I understood what I was up against. I still didn't know how or where I was going to find these beasts, but I had a purpose and a direction, and I was motivated with rage and anger still. I entered the back door, which opened into the kitchen. Bob was standing there cooking. He said, "Man, perfect timing. Just got done making breakfast. Sit down, you need to eat something after a night like you had." I told him, "Man, I have a massive headache. I don't even remember exactly what all happened. It's coming back in blurs." He just laughed and said, "Usually, that's the way it is the first time." I interrupted him. "What? The first time? The first time for what? I thought we were just going to sit in like a makeshift sauna." He just laughed. "No, brother, it's more than that. Because of the ceremony, you are now an honorary member of our tribe. Running Water is the elder and shaman of our tribe." I interrupted him again. "Shaman, you know I don't believe in any of that hocus pocus stuff, right?" He said, "Well, the evidence is in front of you." The elders thought you would understand it better if you were carried to the other side and explained there. The other side? And what the hell are you talking about? And what do you mean I'm a member now? Damn, my head hurts. That's a side effect from the peyote that was burning in the fire, along with a few other herbs. In the days that come, things will get clearer to you, and what you saw during the ceremony, you will get a better understanding of. I have a few things that were left for you by Running Water and the other elders. Since you're now one of us, you will be given information that only our people have known for years. We'll get to that in a bit, but first, you need to eat. You need your strength, especially if you're going to go after the face eaters. I sat down and started nursing a cup of coffee and nibbling on some toast. I looked at him and I said, "I have a lot of questions. Y'all refer to them as face eaters. How did they get that name?" Bob said, "Well, I figured that would be self-explanatory. They are cannibalistic flesh-eating monsters. Running Water says they are the worst of all that hide in the forest." "How many of these beasts are out there?" "Well, there are several. You must know them by the name Bigfoot or Sasquatch, Hairy Man, Werewolf, or Dog Man. Each one of these creatures is actually a little different from the other, but they're all monsters. They can all kill, and they will kill, given the opportunity. But most shy away from humans, except for the face eaters. I think most white men call them Gugway. Each one of these species has their own weakness and their strengths, but the Gugway are known as the most dangerous, and that is the one we know the least about. They will even hunt the others that I have just told you about for food. Some say pleasure too. And after breakfast, I will show you the gifts that were left for you to help you on your journey. We sat and finished our meal that he had prepared. But in my head, I was going over, trying to figure out all this information that I had just been given. And honestly, with the flashbacks I was getting from the night before, I was having a hard time figuring out what was real and what wasn't. But they were trying to help me and help me find my family or to get revenge, whichever one came first. After we finished eating, Bob led me downstairs into a private den that I had never seen before. It was filled with all kinds of native artifacts, and laying on a large oak slab table in the center of the room were several items. A tomahawk with a Damascus blade and intricate carvings etched into the black ox handle, a large bladed knife with a bone grip, a small bottle with some kind of rose-colored liquid, and a very well-cared-for custom lever-action rifle. I stood there looking at this as he walked over to the table. I asked him, "What is this?" "These are the items that were given to you as a gift by the elders." "I don't understand. Why would they give me these items? I already have a weapon, and I don't know how to use a tomahawk." "Well, the rifle belonged to Running Water himself. It is a custom Golden Boy Henry 4570. He laughed and said, "I know you have your own weapons, but not for hunting what you're going after. The 4570 loads with specially designed hard-cast bullets. These bullets have a wide range and are available in variable weights, from 420 to 800 grains. I just looked at him and said, "Holy crap." He replied, "I would suggest these," and he tossed me a box of 540 grain ammo. They will stop a buffalo in its tracks at 100 yards. As for the tomahawk, yes, it takes practice to learn. But you know how to chop wood, right? After you knock one of these beasts down, and make sure it's down, walk over and cut its head off with it." "Well, I guess it doesn't take much practice to do that. What's in the bottle?" "That is your cover scent to keep these beasts from tracking and knowing you're around." He then explained exactly how to use it. It's a little different than your typical cover scent, but everyone that has hunted understands the purpose of cover scent and how to use it, so I'm not going to spend much time on that. Sitting here looking over what I've written, and it seems like a lifetime ago. I never imagined getting into anything like this. Hell, I don't believe anybody could. Just imagine you learn that everything you thought you knew, the monsters in the dark, that stuff is not told to you just to scare you. When you're a little kid, they're real. They're very real. Hey, you don't have to believe me. Go do a little research for yourself. Look at how many people in 1 year go missing in the Americas with no trace, and they're written off. So you be the judge. Journal entry 4. Have you ever heard something or seen something that you just wish you could forget? Like it never happened? Well, that's the way I feel most of the time. But then we come back to reality. You see, when traumatic things happen, it's like they're etched into your memory. That's why it's easy to recall some of this. But it seems like no matter how much I try, the first thing that I lost of my family was their voices. Then the images got blurry. The love is still there, the longing for them. But soon, I will be reunited with them. But you're not here for that, so we will continue. Bob told me to go to a certain location on a map that Running Water had given to him. There, I would meet a man who would give me more information on tracking these creatures and what to look for. So I shook Bob's hand, gave him a hug, and told him I could never repay him. He leaned back, kind of chuckled, and said, to repay him, getting these damn creatures would be payment enough. So I turned around and walked out the door, got into my truck, and headed to the location on the map. I just could not stop thinking about how these things could possibly exist, and how this felt so unreal. Growing up, no one told us monsters do exist. No one prepared us. That made me even more angry and fueled me. As I got closer to my intended destination, I turned off the main road onto what could only be described as a rudimentary trail. My truck barely made its way down this pig trail to this little old cabin sitting in the middle of nowhere. And there, on the porch, was an older gentleman with long white hair, weathered skin, and a long white beard, wearing overalls and a flannel red shirt, whittling away on a small piece of wood. As I parked my truck and stepped out, the man on the porch said, "Boy, you made good time," and just looked at him with a confused look. "How did you know I was coming?" He just laughed, pointed up in the trees near him and said, "Those crows can't keep a secret." He chuckled after saying that. I made my way to the front porch where the man was sitting, extended my hand and said, "My name is O'Connor. I was sent here by Running Water." "I know that," he replied. "My name is David Green. I lived here for over 50 years on this hill. I've seen every kind of man and beast. I was told you're interested in the beast. Come up over here and sit for a while. Let's have a chat and a cup of coffee. And I'll decide if I want to tell you what I know." So I took a seat in an old handmade rocking chair, and he poured me a cup of coffee. Damn, it was strong. "So why do you want to know about these beasts here?" I decided I had no choice but to tell him everything. Exactly why I was here and looking for whatever took my family. He listened without a word. When I was finished, he stroked his long white beard, sat there for a good while looking intently at me. "Son, I'm sorry that happened to you, but you know, you're not the first. I will help you. This is what I know. I came to be here in these hills back in 32. Came up here to seek my fortune in gold and found something else. I was working my way down a small creek, panning along the edge, and a horrible smell hit me, bringing tears straight to my eyes and making my nose run uncontrollably. I have never smelled anything like that before and couldn't figure it out. I kept moving along the creek. That's when I saw it. Couldn't quite make it out at first, what I was looking at. But there, lying along the side of the creek, I'll be damned, it was a big hairy creature. Something had smashed its head in and ripped its chest open. I was standing there in disbelief and shock. Then I started hearing something above the creek, above me on the side of the cliff. I looked up, and there, to my amazement, was the biggest, ugliest monster you could think of straight out of hell. It leaned back and howled, roared like nothing you have ever heard before. And the sound felt as if it was going to rip right through me. I dropped the pan, took off across the creek, and this thing just leapt down 30 feet to the creek bottom. I just knew I was done for. Then a shot rang out. The creature howled and dropped and flailed around. I was in such shock and terrified, I don't even think I realized what happened. I looked over, and there was a native man standing on the opposite side of the creek holding a rifle. He ran up to the creature, took a tomahawk, and started hacking its head off. Blood was squirting everywhere. He snatched the head up and held it high in the air. He then turned and looked at me. Now know this was no little man. He was all of 6 foot plus. He looked to be about 200 pounds of pure terror, chiseled face like granite, long black braided hair held in place with leather and a red feather. Hell, I didn't know if he was about to do the same thing to me. He looked at me and said with a broad smile, "Thank you for that distraction and giving me a shot." I couldn't speak. Noticing my state of shock, he said, "Hurry, help me gather wood. We need to burn the bodies. Be careful, it's made us somewhere close." Well, that shook me straight out of my shock. "There's another one?" "Yes," he said, "and it's the mate to this one. It got hurt when they took on the Sasquatch." He nodded towards the dead body of the creature next to the creek. "But even though it is hurt, it is still very deadly and we must hurry. I am Running Water. What is your name?" "David. David Green," I said. "What are you doing here, David?" looking for gold. So that is how you met Running Water? Why, hell yes. And he's been my best friend ever since, over 50 years. He helped me build this cabin, taught me where to find the best fishing holes and animal trails in this country. He's the one who radioed me and told me you would be coming. I'm sorry for interrupting. Please continue. So when I got my legs to unroot, we started gathering wood up, piling it all around both bodies, and set them both ablaze. We hunkered down right there and waited. He said the other creature will not come near the fire. I was glad to hear that. The sun was going down fast. There was no way to get out before dark, so we stayed near the firelight the entire night. Together the next morning, we headed back down the creek. He said the other creature was too dangerous to pursue, since it was injured. We walked and talked the entire time. He took me to his village. There, he explained to me what was going on. He had been tracking these two Gugway for a week. The Gugway had come across a clan of Sasquatch and attacked them, killing one. The dead Sasquatch, that was lying next to the creek, had snuck up on the Gugway when they started the attack. The Sasquatch clan fought hard and managed to hurt one of them. Then you came along. The Gugway that I killed was going back to finish feeding on the Sasquatch lying by the creek. Together over the years, me and Running Water tracked and killed 9 others. There are a couple that I'm not sure if they died or not because we could never get to the bodies. We have learned the telltale signs of these face eaters, when they come around, and what to look for to track them. That is what Running Water asked me to teach you. Are you ready to enter the gates of hell? I looked at him, and I told him, I walked through those gates already, and I've been in hell for several days now. Then he said, I need you to take me back to your cabin, where all this happened. Together we can look around and I will show you the things you need to look for. He told me to give him a few minutes. He had to gather some things together. About 30 minutes later, he came walking out of his cabin. We went and started loading up my truck. As he was putting his stuff into the back seat, his eyes locked onto the rifle that Running Water had given me. It was an exact copy of his very own rifle. He looked at me and said, I know that rifle. That's Running Water's. I told him it was given to me as a gift. He told me he must really like you to give up that rifle. We got into the truck and headed to my cabin. It was a couple of hours away. We got to the cabin a little before lunch. He told me we needed to hurry. There are a few things we needed to get done, just in case they were still there in the area. I told him I didn't think they were still here. He said better be safe than sorry. He had me start gathering wood for 6 fires, 3 in the back of the house and 3 in the front of the house. As I started gathering the wood for the fires, he was walking around and looking. He came back over to me and said, there have been so many people here, they've trampled all over the tracks. We need to go further away. I told him, okay, and we headed out. We had probably gone about 500 yards from the cabin, just into the woodline. That's when he stopped and said, yes, I can definitely tell you, Gugway, they took your family, pointing to some branches that had been broken and woven together that I had never noticed before. You will see the sign. They will make it where they have made a kill. I am sorry to tell you, but your family's gone. I'm starting to understand that. Well, you need to get your head wrapped around that and what is going to happen now. You need to understand what you're going up against. Or no matter what I tell you, you'll just be taking it to your grave. He started looking around and then pointed straight up the hill. You see there? You see, about 8 feet off the ground? Some of the limbs on the very outside have been broken. That's the direction they came and went. I would have never seen it if he hadn't pointed it out. You see, when we walk around in the woods, we look about eye level to the ground. But you need to look much higher. That's the first thing I learned. There were many more lessons to come. We had probably followed that trail a little over a mile when we came across a tree that was about 10 inches in diameter. that had been pulled out of the ground, roots and all, and then shoved back into the ground upside down. They are definitely still around. This is a marker to the others to let them know this is their territory. He looked at me and he said, "We need to get back to your cabin and light those fires, hunker down, and get ready." We made it back to the cabin probably an hour before night. We got all our things out of the truck and spread them out in the living room and in the kitchen. Then he opened the windows in these 2 rooms, just far enough so we could put the barrel of our rifles out. You don't want to be making noise when they come around, so we can get the jump on them. I asked how he knew it was more than one. He said that's the other thing you'll learn. Face eaters always operate in 2s, a male and a female. Right as the sun was going down, I lit the fires in the front, and he lit the fires in the back. If they come in, they're going to be leery because they really don't like fire. That is why he had me place the fires in a manner that created a funnel bringing the creatures right into our line of sight. Then we went back inside, hunkered down, and waited. I'm not exactly sure how much time had passed, because I kind of nodded off. He bumped me and said, "They're here." "What?" I said. "They're here." That's when I heard the loudest roar in my life. It sounded like 10 lions going off at one time. He told me to be quiet, stay down as best I could. Don't let them see you. Don't let them see that rifle. They know what a gun is. I stared through the crack where the windows were open, into the darkness, into nothing. That's when I caught the outline. I couldn't believe how big it was. David whispered to me, "If you've got a shot, line it up dead center of the body." I couldn't tell which direction it was looking, but I figured it was looking at us. So I put the bead right under where I thought its chin should be and pulled the trigger. Now, I had never fired one of these rifles, and boy, was I in for a surprise. I was not expecting the recoil from that 45-70, shooting that 540-grain bullet. It kicked the hell out of me. I guess I closed my eyes. When I opened them back up to look at where the figure had been standing, there was nothing. That's when all hell broke loose. The cabin started being pelted with rocks, sticks, boulders, fence posts, whatever they could find. David took a shot, but I never saw anything else. He asked me if I got the one I shot at. I told him I don't know. I asked if he got his, and he said, "Hell no. These damn old eyes." For several hours, we could hear the creatures getting further away from the cabin. They never came back up close, and never showed themselves again. We sat there all night. They finally went quiet. When the sun came up, the fires had died down. David looked at me and said, "Well, we can't stay in here forever. Let's go outside and see." So we opened the door and stepped outside. We went over to where I thought the creature was standing when I shot. There was a lot of blood. There was a massive spot on the ground where something large had just flailed around, but no body. He looked at me and said, "Well, this is going to be a track down mission now. They won't come back here because we've seriously hurt one of them. Now we have to go find them. One of them is injured. That makes it even more dangerous. And I'm an old man, but I've got one more hunt in me. Are you ready?" "Hell yes." And we headed out. Journal entry 5. We followed the blood trail for what seemed like forever. Then it started to slow down. That's when you could definitely tell something large was being dragged. Then David nudged me to look up there. Ahead of us lay a clumped up pile of fur. I wasn't sure at first what I was looking at, but as we got closer, you could tell it was one of the face eaters. It looked like the other one had fed on its mate. These are damn foul creatures. I don't know if it was because it was dead, but the smell was horrific. Running water was right. You can't imagine the horror of what they look like. If you were to see one of these things, it would most likely be enough to literally scare you to death. It had been ripped apart. David told me we were going to keep looking to see if we could find the other one. But we needed to come back and burn this one. It wasn't very hard to find the trail of the other one. We followed it for miles. Then it went straight up a 50-foot granite cliff. How the hell did it do that? That ended our tracking. David surveyed the area and said, "Son, I know you don't want to hear this, but it'll take us days to go around this cliff and to get up topside. We will never find it again." He was right. I didn't want to hear it. He told me, "Look, we did damn good for what we've done so far. We got one of them. I'm not telling you to give up, but tracking this one down, I'm an old man. I'm sorry." I walked up, put my hand on his shoulder and said, "Friend, you have nothing to be sorry about. Thank you for everything. Thank you for the knowledge you have passed on." He just shrugged my hand off and said, "I'm not dead yet. I still have a lot to show you. Now get me off this damn mountain." And that's what we did. And he was right. That old man showed me a lot. So did running water, when he had the time. And over the years, I've learned a lot on my own. I never did find a trace of my family. So that mountain is their graveyard. I go there once a year now to say hello, to tell them how much I miss them. And I can't wait to see them. I've killed many of these creatures and others throughout the years. And we will get into that. This is just the start of the journey. This journal is running out of pages. If I survive, I will pick up another and continue. So until the next entry, stay safe. Keep your head up, your eyes open, and always listen to the wind.